Welcome to Choose Wisely. I am your host, Armin Gabrielli. This is the second video intended to be the first, but honestly, I had to do another video, which I did post, and I hope you all get to see it. But this post is about why I chose the name Choose Wisely. Very important to me. It kind of means everything to me. It's rooted in my core beliefs. I am a Christian and I believe in everything that my God has told me. I'm not going to preach, but I just have to share. So this morning I woke up. I was excited, man. I was almost like a child. I was excited because I knew I was going to be doing this morning. And I was excited because I wanted to share with you what I'm going to share with you when I learned and understood all of this. To me, it was like the world just opened up. And I felt so empowered. I have to say, in all my life, I've never felt more empowered than I started to when I realized this. So let me get to it. So, what is it I realized? I realized that we are equipped with the most powerful thing that we could ever need and use to accomplish all of what we want to create all of what we want to. And that power is simply choice. We have the ability to choose. And you may think, oh, some may think that, what does that mean? How is choice such a powerful thing? It is a powerful thing because everything, everything we do is choice. And without this power of choice, we would not have the dominance that we do. In fact, biblically, that is what set us apart from all other living creatures on the earth. Everything else, every other creature operates primarily from instinct, from biology, and even though there are animals that uh, that portray some level of intellect, they don't have the intellect that we have. They don't have the power of reasoning, the power of choice. But we do that. We have the power of choice. And it's not choice that is problematic, it's how we choose. It's even understanding that this is a significant power, that choice is everything. We choose everything we do. We choose whether we are conscious of it or not. Again, just thinking, looking at scriptures and so forth, it dawned on me that power truly is life and death in everything that we do. It's even in scripture, in Deuteronomy. It's about choosing life. It says so simply. It says, I don't know the scripture word for word. I know it's in Deuteronomy, but it says that we are given a power of choice and that we have the choice to choose life or death. And of course, the Bible advises that we choose life. Um, so I said, okay, yeah, choice. Okay, that's powerful. So that's going to be part of the name. And then I thought about wisely. I thought about the act of choosing, what it is and what it means to choose, and how do we choose. And it was something that I really thought long and hard about. And again, I realized as I study different people, different things, and eventually going back to scripture, that the greatest thing that we could ask for is wisdom. Um, I'm sure many of you know about King Solomon. King Solomon was the wisest man on earth who ever lived. And what made him as wise as he is because when he was granted uh, wishes, if you will, when he was granted prayers, he was smart enough to ask for wisdom. That's what he prayed for. He didn't pray for anything. He didn't pray for riches. He didn't pray for power. He didn't pray for anything other than wisdom. He asked for wisdom. So you know what? God gave him abundantly wisdom. And with that, he has a legacy that, of course, transcend and equate it into him historically being the wisest man that ever lived. Hence, I said that would be perfect for the name of this podcast, Choose Wisely. Personally, in doing a lot of reflecting, I thought about how I ended up where I am and how I experienced the things that I experienced. And this is adulthood. This is not childhood. Childhood, as children, we really don't have freedom to choose too much. But as adults, not to mention we don't have the understanding or the reason to be able to make choices that matter. But as adults, we do. So as a child, wisdom, choosing, that's kind of sporadic, although it does play a part. Absolutely, as children, making choices is crucial, but we'll get to that later. But as an adult, definitely, choices is everything. And when I looked over my life and I examined different areas of my life, good times, bad times, mistakes made, and then, of course, accomplishes achieved, I thought, what is it that got me what I experienced? And I realized that in each and every moment, I made a choice. I was able to take the time, study, and really honestly look at everything that I experienced. And in each pivotal moment, good or bad, I realized that the experiences of what I created, it was born from choices I made at each and every time. The thing is that when I made those choices, they weren't choices rooted in knowledge. They weren't choices rooted in being informed. They weren't wise choices a lot of times. Even good choices often was out of desperation. Some of them I might even call lucky. Um, but and some choices I made, and I don't even know why I made them. I just did. There was something in me that I just said, you know what, choose this, and I did. Thus, I created what I experienced. And I say that to say because what I realized is that looking at everything that I chose, what I chose was somewhat more or less random, and I say that because most of it was not fully intentional or was not made with a significant amount of information. And so I started to study, what does that mean? How does that matter? And I realized it does matter. When I started to study successful people, I learned that successful people, when they realize that choice is their power, that they start making intentional choices. They start making informed choices. They realize that their choices is what's going to create their future. If anything, we are creatures that have the capacity to create our future. And it's all done through choice. Now, there's significant obstacles when it comes to learning and dealing with making choices that we want. And we're going to get that into detail. In fact, I'm going to have a couple of podcasts that's going to examine some of these significant obstacles or some of the things that affect the choices that we make. For example, one is ego, and wow, that got to be a podcast on its own. Um, I have been fighting my ego for decades. I still do because that ego of mine is very persistent, and boy, do we have a tug of war on a regular basis. But that's something that we're going to talk significantly later. Also, if we're ill informed or if we've experienced significant trauma, unfortunately, a lot of times we allow our emotional and mental state to affect our choices. And if you're asking, of course, that's the case. According to how we feel or think, we're going to choose. The problem with that is that feelings are fleeting, they change according to what we think. And unfortunately, we just let our minds run rampant. We do not control what we think. In other words, we do not choose what we think, and we can. We absolutely 100% can. We can choose what we think. I say it as if it's easy. No, it's not easy. It's quite difficult, especially in certain circumstances. Choosing what we think, which chooses how we feel, is not as easy as it is for me to say it. But is it possible? Absolutely. Is it doable? Yes. Do successful people do it? 100%, all the time. And this is what we're going to explore in the future. What I want to share upon you is that you can create the experiences that you want, the future that you want, by using your all powerful tool, and that is the tool of choice. And when you couple that with wisdom, man, geez, golly, it's kind of a no brainer. And again, it sounds simple, and I know it does, but I promise you it's not. It's not simple, but it is. What I can promise you also is that it's doable. This week, uh, Tony Robbins had a free 3 day virtual, I don't even know what to call it. It was virtual. Excuse me. Tony Robbins, in case you don't know, but I imagine many of you do, he's noted as one of the leaders of inspirational, motivational speaking. The man is extremely powerful. But why I bring him up is because as I know I'm doing this podcast and I'm excited about it and everything, um, he actually talked about the power of choice. He said, really, everything is choice. And I said, oh, wow, confirmation. Yes, yes, yes. I said, see, I learned what I learned, and what I learned is real. And he talked about him learning to use that power against all adversity. Again, he listed others who have power, who use their power of choice to create the successes that they have. And the list just goes on. And I said, this really is a wonderful thing. Why am I so excited to share it with you? I'm excited because I am hoping that you start to explore this whole thing about choice, creating your life and your experiences through choice. I'm excited because when I started making choices intentionally, not only was I creating what I wanted, I just felt better, period. And I realized that any ill feeling that I was having about whatever I didn't like, that I can make choices to make a change to then experience what I want. And sometimes I didn't even have to change circumstances. I just had to change how I looked at it and change how I felt about it. And I felt better. This is wonderful. And I'm excited because what I'm hoping is that not only that you learn this and that you start creating experiences for yourself that you want and start making a significant change and that you even transform your life, but I'm hoping that you do it sooner than later for those who are younger than me. For those who are my age and you still got plenty of time, you can create more time for yourself. I'm hoping that and wishing that for you. And I say that because I know for me, it was it was one of the happiest days of my life. I can't. The only thing I could do is share this verbally, but I promise you, if you discover it through your own actions, then you will be able to experience what I'm experiencing. I did not have somebody to share this with me personally. And I was not introduced early enough to enough successful people I wasn't encouraged to learn things like this. All I knew was about survival and getting to my next, even though I had great ambitions and aspirations and still do. To me, all I knew was the term grit. You got to grind, you got to work hard, you got this, that, and the other. Started hearing about working smart and all of this and that. And all of these things are great, but I did not hear or receive from anyone. I didn't understand that all these things that we want to achieve, at the end of the day, it boils down to choice. We choose every day. We choose every minute of every day. We choose. You choose. You choose. You can't do anything without choosing. The thing is that most of us, we choose unconsciously. We choose haphazardly. We just, there's no intent in anything we do. We choose habitually when you wake up. and you brush your teeth. That's a choice. Sometimes you choose to brush your teeth before or after a thing. Whatever it is, you choose. You choose when you get out of bed. You choose when you turn off the TV. You choose, you choose, you choose. You choose unconsciously without even knowing. Sleep. I fell asleep. I don't even know when. Did I choose it? Yes, I did. How did I choose it? I didn't get enough sleep the night before. I know I didn't. And I knew that was going to be a thing. So when I sat down, I started watching TV, I knocked out. And it seems like it wasn't a conscious choice, but it was. The conscious choice was made the day before when I chose not to get enough sleep. And knowing that I'm not going to get enough sleep, I know eventually my body's going to take what it needs. And it did. And that's why I fell asleep and didn't even realize when I did. What I'm saying to you is that you choose whether you realize it or not. You do. And I'm encouraging you to use that power to choose intentionally. I am a MCU and a DC fan, Marvel's comics and DC comics and everything. And I look at the power of choice as how MCU depicts a young mutant, if you will, for X-Men, those who know X-Men, a young mutant who has significant power but does not know how to use their power. And then they go to Xavier's school, and Xavier teaches them not only how to use their power, but how much power that they have. And that's how I see choice. Choice is more powerful than we could ever imagine. And when we realize how powerful it is, and then we learn how to harness and use that power of choice, you can create anything. We do all throughout society. We create. We create, and it's always by choice. And the more you know how to use your choice, the wiser you become, and the more informed you become, the greater your power in choosing. It is significant. So I leave with you this note, this encouragement. I leave with you to study your life, to see how choices shaped your life. For some of you, it's going to be easy. For some of you, it's hard. And as light as I am, I understand that some of us have suffered significantly, some through other people's choices, some through our own choices directly. And I want you to not judging you, just examine you and examine that what you experience, a lot of it is choice. Even if a situation is thrusted upon us, it is we who choose how we respond in any situation. It is just that, because a lot of things are thrust upon us. I'll go back to the phrase that my wife coined, and that is trauma may not be your fault, but healing is your responsibility. And with that in mind, not every situation was necessarily of your creation, especially when we're younger, but you definitely choose how you respond in every situation. Um, so please, I hope that you do. You explore the power of choice and how it's in you. Again, I don't remember the exact words, but I do remember in Deuteronomy that it says that life and death is truly a choice. And the Bible urges us to choose life. And I urge you to choose an abundant life. Proverbs is riddled uh, with scriptures about choices, but one that stands out is that Proverbs says that choice is more valuable. Choice and choosing in Him and God is more valuable than any ruby on the face of this earth. Is more valuable than gold, diamonds, or anything that we can touch, that we consider valuable. Power and choice is that, and wisdom is equally that. If anything, we are encouraged to pray for wisdom. Choose life and pray for wisdom. And that's what I wish for you. Again, my name is Armin Gabrielli. I've enjoyed being your host. I hope that this podcast has enriched your life. And while eventually this is posted, I look forward to reading comments. I hope you do comment. I would love your feedback, even suggestions on what to talk about. And again, I wish you the best of any day that you can create. Godspeed.